In the world of coin collecting, certain coins carry more than just monetary value. They hold stories, historical transitions, and the legacy of iconic figures. One such coin is the 1971 Kennedy half-dollar. This seemingly ordinary 50-cent piece is a gateway to understanding America's rich history, technological shifts in coin production, and the enduring memory of one of its most beloved presidents, John F. Kennedy. Let's rewind the clock. On November 22, 1963, the tragic assassination of President John F. Kennedy in Dallas, Texas, sent shockwaves across the United States and the world. In the wake of his death, Americans were looking for a way to honor his legacy. It wasn't long before the idea to feature him on a coin emerged. Within weeks, the half-dollar, a denomination that previously featured Benjamin Franklin, was chosen as the vehicle for this tribute. By early 1964, the first Kennedy half-dollar was minted, and it was met with overwhelming public enthusiasm. These coins became instant collectibles, with many Americans holding on to them as keepsakes. The early coins, minted from 1964 to 1970, contained silver, initially 90% in 1964 and 40% from 1965 to 1970. But everything changed in 1971. The 1971 Kennedy half-dollar marked a significant turning point. It was the first year that the coin was minted without any silver content. Instead, it was struck in a copper-nickel clad composition, similar to the quarters and dimes of the time. This decision wasn't made arbitrarily. It was part of a broader response to rising silver prices and the growing realization that circulating coins with silver were no longer economically viable for the U.S. Mint. The coin features a left-facing bust of President John F. Kennedy on the obverse, designed by Gilroy Roberts. His portrayal is strong, stoic, and dignified, a tribute to a man who inspired a generation with his words and vision. The inscriptions include "Liberty" along the top rim, "In God We Trust" across the lower field, and the year 1971 prominently at the bottom. Just beneath Kennedy's neck, you can spot the designer's initials, Gr. On the reverse, designed by Frank Gasparo, is the presidential seal, an eagle clutching an olive branch and arrows, symbolizing the nation's desire for peace but readiness for war. Encircling the eagle are 50 stars, representing the states. The inscriptions, "United States of America" and "half-dollar" frame the majestic design. 1971 Kennedy half-dollars were minted in large numbers. Over 155 million were struck at the Philadelphia Mint, with an additional 129 million at the Denver Mint, identifiable by a small D mint mark on the reverse, just above the date. Notably, there were no 1971 San Francisco coins struck for circulation. However, the San Francisco Mint did produce proof coins for collectors, made with a higher level of detail and a mirror-like finish. Despite its high mintage, the 1971 Kennedy half-dollar isn't particularly rare or valuable in circulated condition. Most of them were used in everyday transactions, worn down through years of handling, and today they can often be found in pocket change, vending machines, or tucked away in drawers and jars. Their value typically hovers around face value, though uncirculated or proof versions can command higher prices, especially if they are in pristine condition or hold unique errors. Speaking of errors, some 1971 Kennedy half-dollars are especially sought after due to minting mistakes. One of the most famous is the 1971 D struck on a 40% silver planchet, left over from the previous year's production. These coins are extremely rare and valuable. If you ever come across a 1971 D half-dollar that feels unusually heavy or has a distinct silver sheen, it might be worth having it authenticated and graded. It could be worth thousands of dollars. Another error variety includes double die obverse, where the inscriptions or parts of Kennedy's profile appear slightly doubled due to a misalignment during the die-making process. These are less common but fascinating finds for keen-eyed collectors. The shift to a copper-nickel composition in 1971 also signaled a broader change in the nation's coinage. It represented the end of an era, the phasing out of precious metals in circulation coins, and the move towards more cost-effective materials. It's interesting to note that even with the lack of silver, the Kennedy half-dollar retained its large size and substantial weight, giving it a distinct presence in your hand compared to smaller denominations. However, its use in daily commerce began to decline during the 1970s. People were less familiar with the half-dollar, and it never regained the popularity it had in the 1960s. In conclusion, the 1971 Kennedy half-dollar may not be made of silver or fetch high prices in the market, but its real value lies in the legacy it represents. It's a piece of American history, minted in metal, echoing the hopes, loss, and respect of a nation for its fallen leader. It tells the story of change, not just in materials, but in how a nation honors its heroes and adapts to the future. Whether you're a collector, a historian, or simply someone who appreciates the stories behind everyday objects, the 1971 Kennedy half dollar is a coin worth knowing.